going back to them.
Okay, let's call this meeting to order. This is our informal work session at 9:30 because it's the first Tuesday of the month. Anybody have anything for work session today? I think Mr. Zoller has some stuff he wanted to talk about.
Yeah, just a minor thing. First, is there anything from the public before I open up my chat? Whatever. If there's not, a couple things. Where do we stand at with the getting a price? I've heard from reliable sources that spring is around the corner.
Really?
That's what I hear. I don't know, but I hear that it is around the corner.
I heard we're getting another storm.
At least before August, spring will get here.
Yeah.
But what I'd like to do is get bids on pressure washing of the RTA building.
Yep.
So we get that, so we can approve it, and
it
sometime in April, first of spring, that we can, maybe mid-April, if it's affordable, that we can go ahead and start the process, so.
Yep, Dean's
You know,
getting those.
Is he
Yep,
okay?
and he's gonna call, the one you recommended.
Larry?
Larry.
Yeah, whoever, I mean,
Yep.
want to get a couple different people.
Yep,
and a
that's
couple
what he wants to get, a
different
couple
costs
quotes, yep.
and just kind of to look at that.
And we had a couple people, or one company came in yesterday and looked at the annex building for quotes.
Okay, that was another
So we
question I
have
had.
two more coming in to give quotes on the building, so.
Okay, yeah, at least if we get 2 or 3 quotes, and what we're talking about here is basically doing a real spring cleaning of the annex building. Something that, what I understand, hasn't been done since the 10 years we've been there. And we're talking about cleaning the carpets, the drapes, the rafters, cleaning the whole thing, and like you would do a spring house cleaning at your house. But we're getting a cost of it first to see what that is. Couple other things. One, I was, as I mentioned to you this morning, Commissioner, I was at the sheriff's office this morning. Simplex or Syntrex or whatever that group is, along with Palmer Energy, they were there. They had both people there, and they had a meeting with the sheriff, and I think we'll get the HB. I have a hard time pronouncing that word. HVCA.
HVAC.
What is it?
HVAC.
HVAC. Yeah, to get that resolved, and since I got all the powers there, I believe that they'll get that resolved. Now, how does that grievance? I understand we had a grievance filed against us because of was that from the prisoners out there?
Yeah.
How does that whole thing work? Is that something we need? I know, talking with the sheriff, he said he spoke with the prisoners and said that we have a problem, or we're trying to rectify it, but it was cold in the jail.
Yeah.
So they filed a grievance.
Yeah. And I think they've worked through it. They did extra blankets, and they did, some different things to help warm that area up, but it seems worse because you have to sit there and basically do nothing. So even 65, 68 is going to seem cold. So he was giving them the extra blankets and extra, letting them wear their hats and their gloves.
Build a little fire.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, and you're right, just sitting there, and I understand the temperature was like 60 degrees. And,
Yeah.
60, if you're moving around isn't bad, but 60 if you're just sitting there, that would be a little difficult. 2 other things, the EMS meeting last night at the Republic went very well. I want to stress again to the papers that we're going to have a meeting for all townships, villages, EMS coordinators and so forth on April 5th. It's going to be out to the Civil Defense Building, and we desperately have to come up with a long-term solution for EMS. It states in the contract that was read that was written in 1978 that the county would supply the vehicles and the townships had to provide the manpower. And we're lacking on manpower now, and we just don't have that. So we're open for suggestions for alternative ways to run the EMS system. So that's what Ken and Holly and Mr. Wagner and myself have been running through the steps with these different coordinators and so forth. But ultimately, something has to be done. It's the old adage, you don't need a fire department until your house is on fire. Well, this is, you don't need EMS until someone in your family needs an ambulance. So we don't wanna wait to that time till the system fails. We need to do something before that. Lastly, and I'll shut up, just wanna mention that on Wednesday at noon out to the COG. Now, everyone's gotta be we're not voting for, we're gonna put up a justice center. All that the COG is voting for is approving the study. So then that study will have to come back to the commissioners, will have to go to city council, and they will evaluate it and see if there's validity in the study and if we elect to take it further. We are not voting for the Justice Center that day. All that we're voting on, the COG, is approving the study that the government has given us $100,000 to do the study. That's it. Nothing any more than that.
Okay.
So I think that needs to be very, very clear in defining that. We are not voting for the courthouse. We're only voting for the study.
Okay.
That's it.
I went into the EMS, I attended Attica Thursday and Scipio Township Monday morning, and they both went very well also. I think you just kind of greasing the skids, get people thinking before the big meeting and kind of lay it out. And both meetings went different. Attica had some really good questions. Scipio Township more just kind of took it in and thought about it. So.
I've asked Julie, our auditor, to come up with a scenario if we use the Hopewell Loudon concept. If we use that, everyone always wants to see how much it's going to cost. Okay, this is a good program, but can I afford it or not? So we're trying to come up with a high-level understanding so that if that is the program that's adopted, that they can, the elected officials and so forth can evaluate and say, okay, this is something that we want to bring to our public, to the public. Or they may turn it down and say, you know what, this just isn't affordable. I don't know, so we're trying to get those figures from Julie beforehand, so if you could continue to work for it. So it's not cast in stone if it's,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's
Because there could
$100 or
Yeah.
$78 or $130,
Yeah.
Would
we
you,
don't
Fred,
know.
would you review what that plan is that you're talking about with Hopewell and Loudon?
Okay, Jeff, you may be able to explain it better than what I can.
Bascom, Hopewell and Loudon Townships formed a joint ambulance district, I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe not even.
2001.
2001. They were short on manpower at the time, pretty severely. They were out of service as much as anybody. And when they formed the joint ambulance district, they did a 1.2 mil levy. I'm not sure exactly what it generates, but they pay their volunteers what do they call it, an on-call wage or a
There's about
stipend or
$100,000 a
something.
year it
Okay.
generates for that joint district.
They pay $3 an hour if you're on call. So if Shirley Smith is on call, you get paid $3 for the time that you, and really, they're just supplementing their volunteers a little bit. And it's made a big difference for them. They're one of the squads that really we don't even concern
Well,
ourselves
I
with
thought it was
manpower.
enlightening is some of the squads, of the 7 squads within the county, some of them have 10, 12, 13 members. The Hopewell Loudon type squad has 40 members, volunteers. So by offering them some minor stipend, and we're really talking a minor stipend, that's really enhanced their ability to retain volunteers. Of course, the question always comes back, well, the county, why don't we run it? And I like to use, as Ken has given me, Sandusky's model. Sandusky model's about $2.5 million to operate it from the county. So we want to try to, as much as possible, to continue with a volunteer system with a partial stipend of some form. It is substantially cheaper for everybody if we
Is that
can.
$3 on call, is that while you're on call or when you get a call?
That's why you're on call.
On
Yeah.
call, so it'd be 8
So,
hours.
yeah, Jeff Wagner's on call this time period, I'd get $3 during that.
And then like you get $10 a run.
Oh, okay.
And so that run means you had to go to the hospital and back, or some kind of definition of how that how that is. And again, we're open for suggestions. We're just saying, this seems to be a model that is working, and we're open for alternatives. The model that we have is roughly 50% are offline at any one time.
I think that's key. We're open to suggestions. This is something that's working. It's something we're kind of promoting as we go around, but somebody's got a better idea, we're all for it. The county provides, as Brett said, the ambulance, the training, the medical supervision, the Band-Aids, all that kind of stuff. The townships and villages provide the manpower according to the agreement in 1978. And that didn't change with Bascom. They're still just providing the manpower. We're still providing everything else, but they just reimburse their manpower a little bit.
And that's $3 per hour?
Well, yeah, that's $3 per hour the on-call. I don't know what the run is.
I thought Ken said last night 10, but.
It could be, I'm not sure.
Yeah, you may want to verify that with Ken before you print something. It's not a lot. It's not a lot.
Yeah, not a lot.
And they've got so many volunteers that they have one of our backup squads that they pretty much man 2 squads now. They have a backup squad of ours that they're running, so.
When did they do this? When did they pass this?
About 10 years ago.
10 years ago,
What, you said it was
2001.
2001.
2001.
I think that the number that really struck me is that model, the Bascom Loudon Hopewell model has about 40 volunteers, and there is some of the other townships that have got less than 10. They just, things have changed since 1978, and there's just more things to do, and people aren't willing to volunteer.
Yeah, it's a stage, we're just reaching a critical point. We've got to do something, and we want to get there before somebody doesn't
And
get
I'm
service.
assuming the county provides insurance liability?
Yes, we have a liability insurance, and the workers' comp,
Okay.
everything but manpower.
Yeah, you're right, everything except the manpower, and the manpower is the big, that's the big cost of the whole thing. And, the motto in Sandusky, I don't think, put it this way, if that's the way people want, we got to pay for it somehow. That motto in Sandusky is over $2 million.
And they have a 0.25% sales tax dedicated specifically for EMS in Sandusky County.
I would hope there was some other alternatives than that, but don't know.
Can I ask a question here?
Sure.
Like some of these townships have very low population versus the others. Could they gain like 3 of them together or something like that to take care of that? Or
Absolutely, that's an advantage. You can start combining a couple townships together.
Yeah, 'cause
And by the way, another negative, if we go with the countywide thing, the city of Tiffin, the city of Fostoria, which has an ambulance system now, has to be part of this. And you think they're gonna vote for increased taxes when they already got a system that works? I think that's something about ice cream and the down under.
you mentioned like the 40 people, that Bascom and Hopewell Township population is probably as much as anywhere except maybe Attica, Republic area, population-wise. And that makes a difference in the 40 versus 10.
Yeah, but I guess the thing that strikes me is that they struggled beforehand. They were out of service as much as anybody 10, 12 years ago until they went to this. So it's just something that we've seen work. May not be the complete answer. We're open to suggestions.
And that's what the meeting is gonna be on April 5th, Saturday morning. I don't know who's buying the coffee and donuts, but we'll have coffee and donuts.
If we get the people thinking about it ahead of time, that's why we're going out to as many of these as we can. And you have Wednesday night? Blue
Yes,
Ball?
yes, I
Okay.
do, yes, I do.
Okay.
And next Monday.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else from the public? We've kind of, yes, sir.
How can a prisoner have a grievance over cold weather? I do not understand that. How they could possibly have a grievance against their holders.
I think
just don't
we have
understand
we
that.
have an obligation, a legal obligation that we have to house them in a humane type environment.
Isn't 60 degrees humane?
Seems like it to me. I don't know the specifics of that.
Well, I
It
understand
wasn't-
that,
it
but I
wasn't
just
preliminary
want to
design
voice
item.
my opinion on
Yeah.
that. I don't understand that. I think it's wrong.
Mhm,
They put themselves there.
Yeah, you're not gonna get any
I
disagreement
think
up
most of the
here.
public would agree with that.
Not gonna get any disagreement. I look at, after being involved in county government, and how much we spend just for the judicial system and to keep people law abiding. It's way over half the
I figured-
expense of the
I
county.
figured that once, we figured the jails, the courts, the
Yeah,
indigent council, the foster care, the things that we have to do because of other people's bad behavior, it's about 60% of the budget.
pretty
Maybe
soon.
we ought to send them over to Russia and let them take care of them.
Can we quote you on that, Tom?
Yeah, yeah.
Anything else from the public on this topic or anything? I guess OSS, you going to that tomorrow, the solid waste
Yes,
system?
yes,
Okay, do you wanna
yes.
ride together?
Yeah, we can. What,
It's at 8:30 at Fremont,
leave here at 8?
that's fine.
Yeah. Can I drive?
You can drive, sure. He likes to drive. I'll bring my helmet and my hat.
Bulletproof vest?
Yeah, I'm not hated quite that bad yet.
Well, I mean, keep getting punched by glass, broken glass.
Anything else from the board or the public? Yes.
I do have a comment basic on the Justice Department. I can foresee that if Tiffin and county went together, there could be all kind of conflicts when that thing would get up. In other words, you put a Justice Department, who's gonna pay the maintenance on it? When they gonna do the maintenance on it? What-
Behind the scenes, Delmer, of course, keep in mind that we have nothing's been approved and
Yeah.
nothing will be approved tomorrow.
Yeah.
But we have discussed
I understand.
some of those things behind the scenes with the mayor and myself, and the county is not obligated to anything, because it's only me as one commissioner. And we talked about the Maximus program that we use right now, which is an outside agency that puts, it's called a bucket. So this Justice Center, if it goes forward, is a bucket, and all the expenses get thrown into this bucket. And then it's divided out to each department based on how much the county and how much is the city. And then we've even been to the point that discussions further, how about if there's an issue where it can't be resolved?
Right.
Let's say windows need replaced and so forth. And again, this is all very preliminary discussions, because we haven't decided if we're, first, the study's gotta be approved, and then after the study, it's gotta come back to the commissioners and city council for us to hash it through, get public input. I mean, this is a long, long process, but,
I,
where was that? Oh, I know what it was. That we've even discussed, how do we resolve issues? And a way to do that is we would appoint an arbitrator, they would appoint an arbitrator, and those two arbitrators appoint a third arbitrator who resolves issues. So there's been some preliminary discussions on that.
that seems like a pain in the behind too.
Well, there's other counties that's done this, so I would say we probably be well worth the time to talk to them, you know, like Wayne County, for instance.
Yeah, well, we've talked about, in Toledo, you got one government center,
Yeah,
which is a combination of city, county, state in one building. How do they govern that? And so that was one of the discussions is,
Crawford County, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the old part of the courthouse in Crawford County is used by the municipal court, and the new part, that would be a place to see how they do that. Because the old building, essentially, as I understand it, is used for municipal. Okay, wouldn't there be likely to be more maintenance on that old part than there would be on the new part?
Yeah.
So how did they take care of that? I don't know, maybe there's some way there that you can get some input on it, but
Sure.
the
it
whole
just seems
purpose
to me
of
like
this,
it could be a lot of hassle there.
the whole purpose of this study was looking at the cost individually. The city do something, the county do something, because we certainly have issues with compliance issues. The city has certainly issues with compliance issues. For us to individually take care of our own problems, and then two, what happens, where would we be if we combined it, and would that be more cost effective? That's the purpose of the study.
I would say combination, as far as the structure and stuff would be concerned, would be probably the cheaper way, but after the fact is what I
Well,
was thinking about.
that's why,
Yeah.
that's why all these things have to be cast in stone, and we are gonna bind our predecessors with if we decide to go forward with an agreement.
Hard to mind your predecessors, they came before you, right?
Well,
Successors.
well,
Successors.
that's our predecessors,
Successors.
yeah, the people in the future.
Okay.
Not our
I was
predecessors,
gonna
our
say, there-
successors.
Okay.
Successors,
There
not
might be some of them
predecessors.
6 foot under, you know.
Yeah, probably most of
Tough
them.
getting a hold of them. Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking about, the after effects, you know.
Something else to think about.
Yeah, that'd be the worst thing. I mean, the initial cost would probably be on a doubt. We could probably get by cheaper somehow, you know. The others, after. Because I know, people have disagreements once in a while. Ask my
seen
wife.
I can't believe she would ever disagree with you, Delmer.
Oh, I can believe it.
Yeah, it's not something we'll want to enter into lightly. We'll want to.
Oh, no, it's,
Okay, yes, sir.
Thinking about the prisoners, do they ever help to shovel snow?
Well,
Yes,
sheriff's
Uh,
office, yeah. They do a lot of work
Because, you
for
know,
stuff.
With the cemetery, they helped a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
With the building, with the pipes broke out there,
Yeah.
they helped a lot.
yeah.
And I was just wondering, do they shovel snow?
I don't know if they shovel snow specifically, I couldn't tell you that, but they do a lot of work at
Well,
the
I-
jail itself and then some out
Yeah,
and
I
about.
know they do a lot of good, but,
That's a
they're,
good, yeah, we could
that-
certainly use them for that.
just a thought.
It's really a dicey situation. I was being involved with one of the, matter of fact, we have a meeting coming up here in a couple of weeks. There are certain prisoners you can allow to be on the outside, and there are certain you can't. And there's all kinds of laws and regulations, and just because you're a prisoner doesn't mean all prisoners can be out on work detail.
Well, the reason with the cemetery out there, when I was out there with them, those guys, there didn't one of them leave there without grabbing my hand and shaking it.
Yeah,
Not a one of them.
Gives them a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, well, they like,
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
would I rather be out there in a shovel or sitting there in a cell just staring at the four walls?
oh, I agree.
I think between the prisoners and the Crossway people, we get a lot of work out of them.
Oh, good,
The
good.
Crossway comes and cleans here and picks up trash.
Is that the group here?
Yeah.
Is it Crossways here?
Yep.
Then we send them over to the other buildings to they don't do as good as the paid people, but they do a little something.
You know, is there the spring cleaning with proper supervision? I mean, is that an option? I mean,
Dave Majors runs the crew out there. I don't know if that's an option to give them.
or is it
Mops
just
or
surface?
not?
Or they just do surface?
Yeah, I've heard the judges, because of
You're right, you're right.
they've had to put these people in that position,
Yeah.
so that they, it's just a
They would never
situation
be
we
in
Yeah,
do.
favor.
they don't like-
Never, never
No.
be in
The
favor.
Crossway doesn't even do the annex, right? Because they don't
Right.
want them in
No.
there.
No,
do
they
the-
don't,
do
they
the
stay out of the
RTAs.
prosecutor's office too. So,
Makes sense, makes sense.
but we use them, we utilize them anywhere that we can think of and everywhere else.
Okay, anything else from the public or the board? We got a few more minutes. This is your time.
Did I let you know that the phone system at the RTA and the annex is up and running?
Good.
And, I've heard some good and I've heard some bad. Just the bad is getting to learn the phone. There's not a lot of new buttons they gotta push, but everything went well, went smooth, and they've been working with each department to make sure their system is doing what they wanted to do, and they're getting the phone calls in. The old system was really was bogging down the system. We have what they call as a PRI over there that brings in like 23 or 27 channels at once. We were only utilizing specific ones, like, 2 lines would go to the auditor's office when we have 23. And now we're utilizing all of them. So the phones, you're gonna get through now compared to what we used to.
Do we need all 23 lines, or can we, because you pay for each line that comes in.
Yep. The good thing about the PRI that's coming in there, our lines are only like 50 cents a line because it's coming in through a prime.
Oh.
So, but we are having, Time Warner's actually looking at trying to help see if we can save money through those services. So,
They're supposed to come see us pretty soon, aren't they, Time Warner?
yes,
Okay.
he's coming back up to talk to me Friday, because one bill alone, the savings was quite substantial, cutting it from over $4,000 a month to $300 a month.
Gee.
But I said, prove it.
Yeah.
That seems a little too extreme that we've been paying for a $4,000 service when we could pay for a $300 service. So he was going to dig into a little bit more. I just was a little nervous with that. If you show me that's the case, then I'm not going to lose any numbers. I'm not going to lose any service.
Is that reducing the amount of lines coming in? Is that what the cost savings is coming from?
I think so, and what we call Centrex. With our phones, it's a little harder to tell. Centrex is an old system that you can dial just the 4-digit numbers. Anybody in the county, we only have to dial 4-digit numbers. And the Centrex used to run all voicemails, and we've just gotten away from that service. We're not utilizing it, and they don't support it well anymore. So I think that's where the huge savings will be, is through that Centrex contract, getting rid of that Centrex contract.
Okay.
So just, instead of being able to dial 4 digits to get to one of our county offices, you just have to dial the full number. But to save $4,000 a month, they're gonna have to dial the full number, or put a speed dial in, so.
That Earl mentioned that the other
Yep.
day. He was trying to work with getting some connectivity
Yep,
and then rolling this all into one.
yep,
So
yep,
we'll wait for their presentation.
yep. Yep. I just wasn't comfortable with those numbers, so I told him he'd worked on them, and he's gonna bring them back up to me Friday, and hopefully that next week we'll be able to.
That's something that gets away from you. You know, this person adds a line, then they quit,
yeah.
and somebody else adds a line, and they're retire, and
Yep,
pretty soon you got lines you're not using. That happened at the jail, and when Steyer came in, he cleaned a lot of that up out of the jail. I don't know where it's at now,
Yeah.
but
And a couple years ago, we were still paying for phone lines. I mean, we knew the courthouse hasn't been used. There were still phone lines active at the building.
Oh.
Where the Hanson building was,
Yeah.
we still had a line service paying a service charge
Oh my God.
for the Hanson building. That's no longer there, it's a parking lot.
That was
Yeah.
2000.
So it was crazy, it does. They get away from you, and you hire somebody and get rid of somebody. The easiest thing to do was just call and get a new line, but they would forget to cancel the old line. So the phones have been definitely,
and there's no way we would even know about that.
Right.
Because it happens in all these different offices, somebody
yeah.
moves
But
on.
we've done some.
That's not uncommon. I know that from insurance. We found out at my company, we were paying for vehicles for insurance that we sold 3 years ago.
Yeah,
I mean, you just keep adding. So, I mean, it's,
But that's no excuse. We do need to keep on top of it,
Yep.
and that's what this guy's gonna help us do, so.
yep, yep.
Thank you.
I have another comment reference to that.
Sure.
When you said something about, was it Time Warner that's in on
Yes.
this phone deal? Theoretically, I think that they're gonna be taking over by Comcast. What kind of effect is that gonna have?
That's a good question to ask him when he
Yeah.
comes in.
Yeah,
You think-
As I
I haven't
understand,
heard-
I don't know if
hasn't
it's
said
been
anything.
approved or anything, but Comcast, I think, was gonna take over Time Warner. That's what I seen on business news a couple, 3 weeks ago.
You say Tuesday they're coming, or the week after?
well, he's coming to see me Friday, so it'll be the week after.
Okay, okay.
So I'll have to ask him that. He hasn't mentioned it.
Well, I think I'm right on this.
Okay.
I think it's just cable. They're taking over the TV part of it.
Okay.
Not the phone.
Yeah, I think.
Well, we can.
Yeah,
find
well,
out.
yeah, but I mean, Time Warner, it's Time Warner. The way I understood it was the whole company. That was my opinion, my thought on it. I don't know if Time Warner's into anything other than what they have here in town or not.
We can ask them when they come to see us. All right, well, it's 10 o'clock. Let's have the Pledge of Allegiance and start our other meeting.
allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Stacy? Commissioner Zoller?
Here.
Commissioner White?
I'm here. Let's sign the journal. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion to approve it as outlined.
I will second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, motion carried. Old business. Did we cover all the old business in work session? Okay, new business.
New business. I have bill vouchers numbers 24 and 25. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the recorder equipment fund, 156, putting $44,500 into their contract services line. I have a resolution authorizing a fund transfer be made from the Bridge Rehab County Road 1238 and 592 Fund 091 to the M&R Fund 020, taking $32,133 and transferring back into the Maintenance and Repair Fund. These are for the engineer. We have a supplement to the permit appropriations to the Bridge Rehabilitation County Road 1238 592 Fund 091. This is transferring it out, or setting the money in place so we could transfer it out into the Bridge Rehab Fund for $32,133. A resolution authorizing a fund advance repayment from Bridge County Road 1238 592 Rehabilitation Fund 091 and County Road 38 Bridge Replacement 183 to the Maintenance and Repair Fund. These are our advances that they did for the projects. The projects are done, so they're paying back the M&R fund. One is for $75,000 and the second one is for $173,000 back into the M&R fund. I have a resolution authorizing a fund transfer be made to the Ambulance Service Fund 064. This is taking from the general fund $14,517.60 to the Ambulance Service Fund. This is our match money for the workers' comp grant for those cots that we had applied for last year. We've gotten the approval, and so we will be getting four cots, and this is our portion, and they're going to be covering, I think it's $40,000. They're going to be buying the other cots. So this
These
was
are
our match.
Power cots. They
Yeah.
roll the victim up on there and they'll lift it up and put
To
it
minimize
Yep.
workers' comp issue with our EMS people,
Yep.
EMTs.
I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the general fund for 2014, putting $108,979.53 into the transfers out. This is for the portion of the BWC grant that's been awarded to the EMS department, the county home farm rent, that we need to transfer from general fund to the capital projects fund. The auditor's office has requested that it has to run through the general fund first. So,
We've been putting our rents in the 215, which is for repair of buildings and what have you, and this, most of this is for that.
yep. And that's for $108,979.53. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the Ambulance Service Fund 064, putting $54,575.60 into equipment. And again, these are for the 4 power lift cots. I have a resolution authorizing President of the Board to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvement and/or local transportation improvement programs to execute contracts as required for issue 1, round 28 for Seneca County. I have a resolution appointing Mike DeWine, Ohio Attorney General, Special Prosecutor regarding a criminal prosecution and/or criminal representation of a criminal matter of law and any of his assistant attorney generals as he shall determine. And this was obviously at the request of the prosecutor's office. And he has the details on those. It's just a special prosecutor regarding a criminal investigation and possible prosecution, and it's due to a conflict of interest with the prosecutor's office that he has to get them in to do that. I have a resolution amending the establishing a county-appointed council system to, and establishing a fee schedule for the same, Seneca County, Ohio, effective with the submission of bills to the court or on or after January 1st, 2014. This is just an amendment to the indigent council system. The judge wanted it worded a little bit differently because there was some confusion on when and how things were billed. So they talked to the state, and the wording that they would like in there was the effective with the submission of the bills to the court on or after January 1st, 2014. Spoke with the judges. They're going to be meeting, I think, next month to discuss changing or fixing the caps to make sure they're right. So they're going to be meeting to discuss those, but we needed to get that fixed. It was just unclear, and the wording needed fixed, so that is what the judge had worked out.
If there was a case in started in 2013 and went over into 2014, there might be two different billing rates. So this clarifies it, that it starts at a certain time. No matter when the case started, the billing starts at a certain time.
And that's all I have.
Okay, is there a motion?
It's a motion that we approve those amendments as discussed.
And I will second. Any discussion on the? All right, roll call, please.
Commissioner Meisner?
Yes.
Commissioner Zoller?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Okay, we have a hearing at 10:30. I guess we'll have to wait for that. Any public comment?
I got a question I wanted to ask Fred, but I couldn't think about it earlier. I can only think of one thing at a time. What's happening with the bank? Some months ago, you mentioned that there was somebody gonna move in there. Is that happening yet, or is that?
After a couple, some contact with them and correspondence back and forth, nothing has happened as of yet. So just as of right now, it doesn't appear to be.
If you know of anybody that would like to rent space,
It's probably a good time to talk about it. I was approached by Board of Elections again, and they're trying to turn up some heat on us here and feel that we could be mandated by the state because we're not complying in certain areas. And I guess I know Commissioner Stacy has worked on some of those things.
I never heard, Holly or Commissioner Stacy presented them this space out of job. I never heard if they liked it or didn't like it, or
Oh, they like it.
they like it.
They
We
like
kinda-
it.
We kind of offered it to them. What are they?
I really would like to keep them downtown.
Oh,
I would like to keep them downtown. I just think it's conveniently located, and I'd like to, I guess my feeling is, probably shouldn't say this, until we got a gun to our head, I'm against them going out there. I just think for the convenience to the public, it's good there. And for some way we can adapt that space, change the front door. They talk about the front door, okay, change the door. They talk about handicap accessibility because it's too far away from the parking lot on the side. Cut a hole in the wall out, I mean, where you got that little knee wall in the parking lot. Apparently it's gotta be so far from the parking space to where they enter into the door. So instead of that, it seems kinda stupid that entranceway out of the parking lot on Washington Street is in the middle of the wall. If you put it over towards the end of the wall, next to the building, it may be considered more compliant. So what I suggested to them is, they said there's some, like an auditor or somebody, I said, if they can come down and tell us what we are not compliant in, and tell us what we need to do step by step, and then we can evaluate it, and, even though I say I'm against moving out to JFS, it may be prohibitive from a cost standpoint.
Have they officially gotten back with Commissioner Stacy, do you know? Because she's the one that presented it to the board.
Yeah, she had, before she had left last week, she said that they must have had a Board of Elections meeting and they were talking about needing to get together. Because right now they were asking her if the space was open, because they knew we had some damage done out there because Job and Families have now, they're taking over the space that Board of Elections was looking at. And
Just temporary.
yeah, just temporary. So, they didn't give her an answer, but, they said they were interested.
That's what I was kinda waiting on the official answer. I
Yeah.
was gonna bring that up sometime. I never got it.
I hate to bring it up when Commissioner Stacy's not here today because she was the one that really headed the program, but
Why don't we put that on the agenda for next time she's here and talk about that as a full board? I don't have a problem with them moving out there. The only thing I see problem with this building, I mean, it is handy and everything, is they just don't have the room for the what do they call it, early voting.
Yeah.
You just are kind of cramped in there, and I don't know how you solve that. When we went over there and looked that time, I kind of peeked all through there, and I couldn't really see a way to do that. There may be, but they couldn't suggest one other than give them the bank, which I don't really want to do. But that would make a nice, then you'd have a big area that would be, we're gonna have empty space somewhere, either out at Job and Family or here. And this is more retailable, I think was our thought at the time when we offered them the Job and Family. Well, think about it, we'll talk about it when Holly's here.
Maybe I'll talk to, David, is that David, the new SIDAC director? Maybe he can know somebody that wants to come into the bank building.
Yeah, get him
Yeah,
on
that would
that.
be-
Because he
that would
seems
be
a little bit,
He's,
I mean, I like Rich, but
Well-
he just seems to be a little bit more.
David's very ambitious.
So I'll call him and,
my thought, if we go forward, if this Justice Center, there's gonna be a tremendous amount of investment put downtown that may regenerate some activity to that. I mean, I would love to see that as not a tax burden, but a taxpayer in that facility. And that to me is a
Absolutely.
prime location to try to use it for a government building. I just,
And so would where the Board of Elections is, because it has a big picture window, you could have some sort of a business in there showing off whatever they sell. Well,
yep,
could you just put that on for whenever Holly's
down.
here? Okay, thank you. Let's see, anything else? Public, board? Okay, let's just recess until 10:30. That's advertised time for the block grant hearing, and we have to stick pretty close on that, so.